I was putting a list together, Jake, about things that I would like to see and things that I'll be keeping an eye on come Saturday. Top of the list, right guard. If Anthony Bradford's healthy.
Healthy or helpful.
Yeah, exactly. They need somebody who's going to be a bit more helpful. Miles Frazier struggled against Mississippi State. He was the only one that didn't play great. And you know how excited we were about the potential of Bradford entering the season. Now, Bradford also did not look great at times in that Florida State game. I mean, both players seem to be right now maybe playing over their toes a little bit. Maybe Frazier more than Bradford. We'll see. We need more of a sample size. The point is, that is the lone spot. For all the tinkering that this coaching staff has done with that offensive line, I feel like that's the final question mark that has to be answered. And then once you get that, you feel really good about, obviously, Campbell, Dellinger. Charles Turner was fantastic last game. And Emory Jones, a right tackle. You've heard us talk about it all week. So right guard, my first thing that I'm looking for on Saturday. My second thing that I'm looking for on Saturday. This is not really any questions. I'm just excited to watch Harold Perkins more. He was awesome the other day. And Jay Ward. Throw Jay Ward in that mix as well.
Well, let's be careful with Jay Ward this game.
Okay, so you're saying maybe let him chill a little bit? A little vet rest day?
Yeah. Well, last time we saw him, obviously after the interception, he walked off the field and dapped up Dr. Bankston, which is good, but we don't have to, necessarily.
Has there been an update there? I haven't even thought about that. I just assumed he was okay because
I haven't seen anything.
Watching it play out.
There was something early in the week about being careful and stuff, but I don't know exactly what he's had. But
well, whatever. If you don't want to play him, that's fine. But the freshman Harold Perkins can play, and this is a great opportunity to get better, and it's a great opportunity for him to continue to develop in that role of pass rusher from anywhere on the field. He make no mistake, he has that natural knack that some guys do where they just instinctively understand how to get to the quarterback. And I know that sounds very cliche, but it is an instinct and it is a skill set. And you can always learn skills. You can always get better at something. But if you're just naturally more inclined to it, like it seems like Harold Perkins is, well, then that's obviously going to be a huge advantage for you as you build upon that skill set. And it helps when you're a physical freak, who's, what is he, 6'2", 240 or something? I don't know. And really fast. But, yeah, I'm just excited to watch the freshman Harold Perkins more, dude.
Yeah, I can get behind that as well. Kind of do some different things with him. Obviously, give him some more time as just an in-the-box linebacker as well, just so he has that his repertoire, because we know he can get after the quarterback. He can line up as an edge rusher. He's shown that against an SEC opponent. So, yeah, be creative with him and kind of figure out maybe what you want that linebacker rotation to look like in a game like this. Continue to work on that because there's going to be 5 guys that have played really in kind of all the games, but certainly you've had a deep rotation in every game that you've played. So kind of figure that out, maybe see which guys you like and start to kind of hone in on maybe what that rotation looks like.
So you don't think they just keep the rotation going?
Probably not. You're probably doing it because you're trying to find the right combination. Now, different teams can call for different linebackers, I think, because they are a different group, right? So, Baskerville played a ton in this last game. Yeah. If you play a run team, maybe Wes Weeks plays a little bit more. So, I think it will change based on who you're playing, but you'll get an idea kind of what it looks like, I think, in a game like this when you have the ability to kind of get in there, get multiple guys in there, and then kind of figure it out for the next game as you travel to Auburn.
I mean, it's interesting. I wonder if it'll end up being kind of linebacker by committee all year long with just, like you're saying, different weight on the scale for a different guy put on each game, or do you eventually get to a 2 that kind of emerge? We will see. That's another thing that you can look for this weekend. Jake, do you think Greg Clay will still be the punt returner? And I don't mean that as a joke. I mean,
yeah, I know.
Because this is a staff that has proven they will tinker.
They will tinker. If Brian Kelly bought his reasoning for jumping on the ball, even though I don't buy his reasoning for jumping on the ball.
For what it's worth, last time it's going to team, Matt also is with you. He definitely does not buy that as an excuse.
I went to the old Zapruder film, and we were I had it and I was
I don't know.
slow-mo.
Look,
and
as a defense attorney, all I can tell you is that from my client's angle, that's what you got to understand. It's all about angles and perception. And the ball was lined
we
up.
kind of had the angle, though. We had the end zone
we
copy.
had the good angle. The ball was lined up from his angle with an LSU player on the y-axis. He thought it hit him, dude. I don't know what to tell you, man. But what do you think? Do you think Clayton Still's returning punts?
I mean, they've tinkered at that position so much. Yes, I'll say yes for this game.
Okay.
He'll get another opportunity.
It's interesting, though, the hesitation shows that it is something to watch where maybe he's not. One thing that I'm really – well, real quick here, too. Look, I think Damian Ramos has actually been really good. And so anytime he gets an opportunity to kick, I want to see him kick more. One thing that I am very excited to see, Jake, with this staff is this staff with another game. Because I talked about it last night. One element that I really want to applaud on what this coaching staff has done this far, they have made some very hard decisions, and they have avoided some classic sunken cost fallacies, right? Like after that first game against Florida State, they didn't fall into the trap like I would have, and like my mind always has, like many always have, of saying, well, oh man, the offensive line wasn't great, but like we can't move Dellinger. We literally invested the entire camp into developing him at center. Like that's a month of practices and time, and to move him now would, like, what were we doing? That'd be absurd, right? No, that is the literal sunken cost fallacy. They avoided that. They ate the fact that maybe they were, and honestly, look, let's be clear, it also does pay some dividends because now he's more prepared to play that position than he ever was before. But they ate the fact that maybe they wasted some of the continuity between the five guys that they now have currently because they accepted the fact that maybe they were wrong in their evaluation. Now the games have actually been played. That is rare for a coach to do, especially on the heels of a camp that just wrapped up. And Dellinger is just one example. Jay Ward, Greg Brooks. Like, there's examples all over the field. And that's a sign of a staff, I think, that has a high ceiling in terms of potential to learn this team, to develop this team. And you've already seen them take drastic steps in each game. And for all the talk of special team struggles and whatnot, I agree special teams have not been good, but every time there's been a special teams problem, the next game, it got fixed. So I'll allow, it's the old thing, don't make the same mistake twice. You say, T-Bob, they made the same mistake? Yeah, within the same game, right? But I'm talking about from a game-to-game basis, don't make the same mistake twice. If the same special teams issues are cropping up again, yes, then that is a major problem. But if it gets fixed and you don't see a returner's heels going past the 10, the coverage units get better, well, then, okay, that is a staff and a team that is learning. And that's maybe the most encouraging thing thus far, Jake, again, is that they have really seemed to learn their personnel quite quickly and are already figuring out much better ways to put them in positions to succeed.
Yeah, I think like you're talking about, the things that they have tinkered with have worked in the next game, and that's not always the case. And so if we're looking for maybe something that they could tinker with in this game, we're talking about special teams, and it's things that we've talked about, they're not coached to do. You mentioned it, your heels on the 10-yard line, never back up when you're fielding a punt. I'm still going to, hey, don't jump on a punt unless you know it hit somebody. We know the extra point stuff. But I'll be curious to see if you see more starters on special teams. That's just something that it's always been done here. I always go to the fact that on our national championship team, I was the right guard on punt, Craig Stelch was the left tackle, and Early Doucette was the gunner. Right, and I know some people are like, man, why would you risk some guys getting hurt?
Do you want Emory Jones on punt still?
No, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, you have other bodies to be able to put in that position that would fill that position.
Yeah.
Right. So that's something I want to see, like what they do with the punt coverage team. Do they put maybe somebody else on there? Now Emory's got to get off there, and he was after. They're like, wait a minute, our starting right tackle still out here on punt, because that's a unit that you need to see some more from. You need to see better production. You need to see more attention to detail. And as we know, I mean, we say it all the time. It's cliche. That phase will get you beat in the SEC.
Yeah, and look, you got to, after this week, then the grind begins. Okay. You got a lot of SEC games uninterrupted, really by any cupcakes. You got to go to Jordan-Hare. You're going to return home against Tennessee, which, just to be a little of a look ahead, Louis here, if you're able to beat New Mexico, beat Auburn in Jordan-Hare, Tennessee game is going to be hype AF, dude, especially if Tennessee beats Florida over this weekend. So we'll see, man.
You'll be.
It'll be the first time the Tiger Stadium's back to Tiger Stadium in a while.
Let's see, if Tennessee, if they take care of their business, they'll be a top 7-8 team in the country.
Yep.
If you take care of your business, you'll be somewhere in the 20s.
You think you break in?
I think you will.
I think if you look good while beating Auburn, I agree. Because you already got a lot of credit. The LSU got bumped up to the 30s for this most recent win against Mississippi State. And again, I think a lot of it is the context of how they won. Winning by double digits, but not just that, really controlling the game after a rough start too as well, right? Showing they could overcome that rough start.
One of the things that I want to see in this game, and it's really the main thing, I don't want to say the only thing, but it is the main thing I want to see, is I want to see John Emery get a bunch of touches.
Mm-hmm. He had work on the running game for sure. And the run blocking.
He hadn't played, we know. He missed 15 games. It was a long time. He returned to action last week, and there was a couple of times you go back and you watch the tape that he's almost breaking these runs. And you can tell he's trying to get his footwork just right. He kind of tripped up a little bit, but he was close. The vision was actually there, which is very difficult to do when you haven't played in that long. But I'd love to see him, and they did it in this game, which we talked about. Sometimes with John Emery, just motion him out and throw him the football. They did that in this game.
Well, he was five wide. It was great, dude, when they went 5 wide and threw him that little quick out. And the thing about that is, if he can line up and route run, then all of a sudden, and you want to do a tempo drive, that becomes very advantageous from a personnel. And I know so much of what we always talk about goes back to 2019. But again, that was the entire strength there. Was that these same 11 personnel could line up in a ton of different formations, and so you could never quite know what was coming, and they could operate at tempo. If Emery can do that, well, then that's huge. Anything else on Emery? You know what the thing we didn't talk about? I really like Armani Goodwin's pass blocking this last game. I know Josh Williams is still kind of your third down back, but let's not overlook Goodwin's pass protection, because there were like 2 or 3 times where he was delivering some. And you have to
have him continue to do that, because what do we always talk about? You can't fall into what? Tendencies. So it's like, hey, if 22's in the game, it's going to be run. If Williams is in the game, it's going to be pass. That's what you can't do. So he's going to be asked to pass protect. You've seen it. I've seen it. There's been running backs at LSU over the last 2 decades that have been studs when they have the ball in their hands, but they don't play because they can't pass protect. Because if you only are in there, and every time you're in there, it's a run or you're free released and you don't have protection, well, defensive guys aren't smart all the time, but they can at least figure that out. So that's something that you've got to continue to grow. It was good to see him step up and make those blocks, because he had a really nice day running the football as well.
All right, so there's a little LSU, New Mexico, okay? Some things to look for this weekend. Who will win that right guard job? Watch Harold Perkins, number 40, when he's on the field. Who will return punts? Oh, I didn't mention this. I'm excited to see more Jaquelin Roy as well. I feel like Jaquelin Roy is just got kind of lost in the mix because Mason Smith is so massive and imposing and looked so good. And Roy didn't necessarily flash in game number 1 as much, but he was really good against Mississippi State. So I want to see him again. Again, excited to see where else this staff tinkers and how they fix some of the mistakes they've been previously made. More Damon Ramos, get John Emery touches. There are things to watch come this week. And as Jake told you yesterday, it's not an awful New Mexico team. It's a better team than like again, when I watch at Southern,
they're allowing 260 yards per game.
Okay, that's good defense. When I watch a Southern game, it was the thing where it's like, okay, every mistake felt uber magnified, and then every good play, I'm just like, well, of course. Right? So I didn't care. This is not quite that. There is more value in this.